Thank you. Good evening to you. Coming up on BBC London. From this to this. We've heard it before, but now the Mayor says Oxford Street will be pedestrianised with the backing of the government.
I think this makes sense when you speak to the business and listen to them. When you speak to those who have left, when you speak to those who are currently here, I think they will say that Oxford Street, as wonderful as it is underperforming.
Well, we'll hear from businesses and residents in and around the area on both sides of the Oxford Street plans. Also ahead tonight. The parents who claim the needs of their deaf children are not being met at a primary school in East London. Plus,
join me in Regent's Park, where a new art trail is being unveiled, which you can see for free.
and we meet the lottery winner from Leatherhead, who's giving back to the community with crazy golf. Hello and welcome to the programme. Lovely to have you with us. It's something which has been talked about for decades here in the capital, the pedestrianisation of Oxford Street. Today, London's Mayor announced it will happen with the backing of the government, who'll give him control of the scheme. Sadiq Khan says the famous shopping street needs a new lease of life. Well, the plan to ban traffic has been welcomed by many, but it also faces opposition by some residents and the local council. Let's join our transport and environment correspondent Tom Edwards, who's by Oxford Circus now. Hi, Tom.
Yeah, this move tonight by the Mayor to make this pedestrianised came as a big surprise to a lot of people, not least the local council, a Labour-run council who actually run and own this Oxford Street here. Now, this is what the Evening Standard said tonight, the battle for Oxford Street. Khan faces backlash from Labour-run council over traffic-free plans. But the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, says this is going to happen, this is going to be pedestrianised. Here we go again. Another plan to get rid of buses and cabs from Oxford Street and pedestrianise it.
Yeah, it's a good idea, so people can feel free to walk and the children is going to be around, it's going to be more safe.
I can't really then get off the bus close to work if the whole road's going to be closed down.
I think anything to get your legs going and get a bit of exercise is way better than breathing in the fumes.
Congestion, where's that going to go? Where's the other traffic's going to go? So you've got to go above onto Marylebone Road or Piccadilly, and they're both gridlocked as well, so not a good idea in my opinion.
I think there's pros and cons. In terms of people trying to get to work, it will be harder in terms of buses, but in terms of pollution and stuff, it's going to be better for the environment.
This is what it could now look like. Today, the government and the Mayor announced planning powers would be taken away from the local council. Pedestrianisation is back on.
I want people from across the globe to come to Oxford Street to shop, to spend their money, to invest. That benefits the residents, the businesses, but also visitors and tourists.
Does it come at a cost that you're going to annoy Westminster Council?
Look, Londoners know. As long as I've been Mayor, I've always done right by this city. Sometimes it means taking tough decisions. I actually don't think this is a tough decision. I think this makes sense when you speak to the business and listen to them. When you speak to those who have left, when you speak to those who are currently here, I think they will say that Oxford Street, as wonderful as it is underperforming.
Westminster Council did have its own plan that could be shelved, much to its private annoyance.
It's Christmas buying that dominates the shops and fills everybody's mind.
Once the jewel in Britain's retail sector, Oxford Street's popularity has waned. Pollution, road collisions, the rise of internet shopping have all taken its toll, although it's still visited by 500,000 a day.
We're not ruling it out, but it couldn't be done overnight.
Plans to pedestrianise the street go back decades. The then Mayor Ken Livingstone introduced traffic-free shopping days, and pedestrianisation was in Sadiq Khan's manifesto in 2016. but Westminster Council killed it off. Now it's back on the drawing board.
You can do your transactional retail anywhere, but this we want as the flagship destination to come and have that first experience and come and enjoy with your friends, with your family. And it's not just about the buying, it's about everything else that you do, and you hear that real connective moment.
So is this a game changer or another false dawn? Policy is one thing, delivery is quite another, especially when it comes to Oxford Street. Now, at the moment, there's not a lot of detail about the plan. This is just the beginning, but one of the big issues is what's going to happen to the traffic here, what's going to happen to the buses and the taxis, and that's really concerned local residents. Here's my colleague Aisha Butch.
Travelling by bus along Oxford Street may soon be a thing of the past. Cars are already banned from here, and now buses and taxis could follow.
Well, at the moment there is little detail as to how the rerouting of traffic could work. But streets like this, which run parallel to Oxford Street, could, in theory, see far more congestion.
And for local residents groups in central London, there's real concern about the potential knock-on effect.
Traffic is horrendous. Marylebone is choking on a daily basis.
Julie Redmond is a former Conservative parliamentary and GLA candidate.
All of the traffic from Oxford Street would be pushed into very quiet residential areas, and it'll cause extra pollution and also noise pollution on top of that. People living here with disabilities, with families, people working maybe in the NHS, ambulance drivers getting from A to B, delivery drivers delivering goods to businesses in the area, how will they actually get there?
St Christopher's Place is just off Oxford Street and is already part pedestrianised. But nearby restaurants such as the Turkish-run Grand Bazaar say they experience a lot of traffic.
First, noisy. Second, making dusty, dangerous, because sometimes they're coming with a child. And then cars, sometimes going very fast, and then they don't want to sit here.
The plans for this iconic thoroughfare are still in development, but it appears cyclists and scooter riders could also be rerouted away from the shops and restaurants of Oxford Street. Aisha Butch, BBC London.
Well, feel free to get in touch on how it could impact you or benefit you. But right now, let's pick up on some of the politics of this with our political editor, Tim Donovan, who's in Brighton for the Lib Dem conference. Tim, we'll come to that in a moment. But first, what do you make of what we're seeing here on Oxford Street? What questions does it raise?
Well, in one sense, it will be presented as, is being presented as a Labour government working with a Labour mayor, working hand in hand, which is what Sadiq Khan said was going to happen. But it is and has set them on a collision course with a Labour council, Labour-controlled Westminster Council. And this is a council which it won control of 2 years ago for the first time ever. And do you know what? They'd quite like to keep control of that council. And their plan was not to pedestrianise. They've in fact started work on an alternative, preliminary work on an alternative plan, which isn't pedestrianisation. So there'll be issues there. There is discontent, unhappiness we're picking up in the Labour leadership there. And it raises questions, or it suggests a classic tension here about what local neighbourhoods, local communities, a local Labour council wants, and what a mayor has a power to do and thinks is necessary strategically for the wider city, economically, perhaps for the country.
And Tim, talking of Labour tensions, MP Diane Abbott has been talking today. Tell us more.
Yeah, she's talking to Newsnight, BBC Newsnight, and she says that before the last election, Labour leadership wanted to get rid of her, didn't want her to stand, but that failed. You may remember she turned up at a protest outside Hackney Town Hall at the time, but she's also saying that when a Tory donor, Frank Hester, made disparaging remarks about her, said he hated her and said he wanted her shot, she didn't feel that she got the support she would have expected from the Labour leadership.
Well, you'd feel that if somebody was threatening to have you shot, you would have felt that your party would have offered you more support, given you advice on safety and security, even kind of commiserated with you, and none of that happened.
Now, Labour are rejecting the claims being made, but you can see the full interview on Newsnight tonight.
OK. And Tim, of course, the reason you're in Brighton, the Lib Dem conference coming to an end, what do you feel that they have achieved?
Well, certainly they haven't been sailing off into any kind of new policy directions. It's been one big celebration. They're very happy indeed. But a conversation and a debate, if you like, has started about where they go from here. They still think there are 20-odd, maybe more, Conservative seats up and down the country that are winnable, Conservative seats. But there's a pressing question now about what they do both in opposition to Labour and what they do to make ground on Labour, or whether there are Labour seats they want to take. And so there's still this question about, you know, while they have a pocket of representation in southwest London, have they got much appeal across the west of the capital and other big urban areas?
OK, Tim, for now, many thanks indeed. That's our political editor, Tim Donovan. And as he mentioned, you can see the full interview with MP Diane Abbott on Newsnight tonight. That's at 10:30 on BBC Two. You're watching BBC London. Lots more to come before 7, including... We hear from one of the most powerful figures in fashion, Anna Wintour, as a new docu-series about 90s fashion hits our screens.
And Army, the lottery winner, so crazy about crazy golf, he built a course in his own garden for charities to use.
Not competitive.
A memorial service has been held for a mother and her 2 children who were found dead in a flat in Luton. Juliana Prosper, her son Carl and daughter Giselle were found dead at the scene in Leebank last Friday morning. Nicholas Prosper, who's 18, has been charged with their murders and is due back in court tomorrow.
Heartbroken. It's broke the family, it's broke a lot of family members. Some people have shown it more than others. But we're just here, it's brought us together, we're supporting each other, we're helping each other.
Next, the parents who say the needs of their deaf children are not being met because pupils at a primary school in Tower Hamlets have now been without a fully qualified teacher of the deaf for a year. The school says it's trying to recruit staff amid a national shortage of those with the right skills and is providing pupils with the best possible support. Jessica Ure has the story.
Mahaimin and Isla are classmates in the same primary school in Tower Hamlets and have both been registered as deaf from a few weeks old. Before starting school, their parents said they had specialist support in nursery and from the local authority. But since moving up to reception, they say support from a fully qualified deaf-trained teacher has been non-existent.
It's not easy being an SEN parent. There's so many challenges that comes with it. Since she's been in the school, it's a huge letdown for her because she's not getting that right support. She should have been progressing. She should have had some kind of communication by now. It's really, really delayed.
Culloden Academy has a deaf support base at the school, which used to include teachers of the deaf, who have completed 2 years of specialist training. But parents say all of the qualified teachers have now left, including one on maternity, leaving no fully qualified teachers in post for the last year.
These children's education are at risk and you're not taking it seriously. How can you have a deaf support base where there's no specialist, there's no qualified staff that's supporting them?
The school has been telling parents they are trying to recruit qualified teachers, but in the interim, parents say their children's learning is being delayed.
He used to be a good signer before because I used to sign with him since he was growing up. So he do less signing. It's hard to understand what he wants because he couldn't express himself, so it's affected me. I was thinking that it's me I'm doing wrong.
Last year, the number of qualified teachers of the deaf in England fell to its lowest level on record. Meanwhile, the number of children diagnosed as deaf in the capital is rising year on year. Even with these problems, one leading charity is still particularly concerned about the picture in Tower Hamlets.
In the terms of this school, of course, it's the number of parents who have approached the National Deaf Children's Society with some very upsetting stories. That is of concern. A teacher of the deaf, as well as being a teacher, has that extra knowledge that just makes a massive difference. The support is just so impactful that it's a catastrophe if they're not there to help those deaf children.
The school told us in a statement, Culloden Academy is making every possible effort to recruit staff amid a national shortage of qualified teachers of the deaf. We've discussed the situation with the London Borough of Tower Hamlets, who are supportive. In the meantime, we're providing our pupils with the best support possible, using highly experienced teachers who are completing their Teacher of the Deaf training. Jessica Yore, BBC London.
Let me bring you a roundup of some of the day's other news stories in and around the capital. A man's appeared in court charged with the murders of Carol Hunt and her two daughters, Hannah and Louise, after a crossbow attack. They were found fatally injured at their home in Bushey. 26-year-old Carl Clifford from Enfield was arrested after being found injured in a cemetery the following day. A former Metropolitan Police officer has been jailed for 40 months after using the bank details of dead people to buy electronics worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. Mohammed Mustafa Dar, who's 39, previously pleaded guilty to 2 charges of misconduct in public office following a corruption investigation. And services through London Bridge have been severely disrupted today due to a trackside fire at Brockley in south-east London. Lines were closed and services part suspended due to damaged cables and signalling equipment. Passengers are advised to make their journeys via Victoria instead. Now, as London Fashion Week comes to an end, a docu-series about fashion in the 90s and how it was influenced by this famous magazine editor is just hitting our screens. With her trademark bob and sunglasses, Anna Wintour, the longtime editor-in-chief of American Vogue, is one of the most powerful figures in fashion. Asad Ahmed spoke to her at last night's premiere on the South Bank.
What's the defining publication about fashion?
Vogue, 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 Vogue.
Anna Wintour, people will know your name, they'll know your influence all around the world. What a lot of people might not know about you, who haven't heard you speak, is that you're a born and raised Londoner. What's it like being back here today?
Yes, well, I'm back all the time. I consider this my second home, and thrilled that Disney Plus decided to have the opening here, so I hope everybody enjoys the series.
Of course, Vogue's biggest force is Anna Wintour.
Oh my God.
Mind awfully taking your sunglasses off.
No, I'm going to wear them.
Now, regarding the series, you're not known for giving many interviews, for being so candid and open about such an important... Well, you know, you were very open about fashion in the 90s. What was it that convinced you to do this documentary?
Well, I thought it was such a fascinating time in the history of fashion that there was a lot of interest in right now from designers around the world. So obviously our archives are amazing, and we are lucky enough to have access to so many incredible people who saw the 90s, can remember the 90s, and we just thought it was a fascinating story to tell, and I hope that comes through in the series.
And the premiere is taking place during London Fashion Week.
Yes.
Has London still got what it takes to be there amongst the global players in fashion?
Yes, I mean, I think you have so many amazing designers here, new designers and established designers like Dem or Daniel Lee at Burberry, and obviously a whole new generation like Stephen Stoker Daly. So, you know, there's always a fantastic mix here that I'm always thrilled to see.
Now, what you don't know about fashion isn't worth knowing in your decades of experience.
I have a lot of people who tell me.
Well, if you could give one tip to people to say, look, this will always mean you're looking good, what tip would you say people need to know?
Just be yourself.
And then she was gone. Anna Wintour talking to Asad Ahmed. Well, from fashion to frieze sculpture, as once again one of London's famous parks is transformed into a free, massive outdoor gallery with the works of international artists placed throughout the historic gardens of Regent's Park. And that's where we can join Alice Bandakravi, who can tell us more. And perfect weather for it as well, Alice. Hi there.
It's been the perfect weather, Riz, for this unveiling of this art trail, frieze sculpture, here in Regent's Park, which really kicks off Frieze Season, one of the biggest art festivals in the world, right here in London. And there are more than 20 pieces of art scattered throughout Regent's Park, like this one here behind me. And I'm joined by the artist, Livy Heaney, artist but former quantum physicist, which is quite the career change. Tell us about the artwork here that you've created.
So this is Ent, Non-Earthly Delights, and it's a Hieronymus Bosch inspired headless hybrid. Yeah, it's a quantum hybrid, so it's a mix of organic, human and machine all entangled together in this one sculpture.
It's very colourful. You must be very proud to have your artwork here in this beautiful setting.
Yeah, I'm really excited by it. What a wonderful place to put something so wild and unruly as this sculpture in Regent's Park, out in nature as well. Yeah.
It's certainly eye-catching. Thank you so much, Libby. Well, the person whose job it is to choose more than 20 artworks, some of the best in the world, is my next guest, Fatosh Ustek, curator. Tell us what you've tried to do with this year's show.
So free sculpture is a very important event of the arts calendar. It is about looking at the pulse of the moment, what is happening in artistic practices today. And of course we focus on sculpture, but with my new vision I expand on the notion of sculpture. So invite artists that actually employ other aspects of different mediums, such as with Libby's work, there's augmented reality component to it. Or we have works that are complemented by performances, or there's a video work or a performance as sculpture.
There's very diverse pieces for people to see. It must be tough to choose just 20 pieces.
Absolutely. We don't have a limit of our numbers. Actually, we have more than 20 artists this year. And for me, what is very important is to kind of like show the breadth of interest and the kind of like international quality of sculpture and bring that to London's Regent's Park. And that the way that we select is actually kind of cultivated interest. So I commission artists. So half of the exhibition is new commissions and half of them are existing works that we receive through open call and through a selection process.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Some very, very varied artworks, but the key thing is that they're free to see here at Regent's Park for the next 6 weeks.
OK, thank you. Yes, free and varied. Alice, thanks ever so much. Now, here's a question for you. What would you do with a £1 million lottery win? While you're thinking, we're about to meet a man from Leatherhead who did and has just fulfilled a promise of something he wanted to do for the local community. Let's pick up with Chris Slegg, who can tell us more. And just to be clear, Chris, you're not the person that's won the lottery, are you?
No, it's a shame, Riz, isn't it? No, I'm not the lottery winner. But this is the promise that Dave Lawrence, who owns this back garden, made to the local community. He spent his winnings on a house big enough, he spent his winnings on a house with a garden big enough to put in a mini golf course, because he wanted that to be used by local disability groups, local community groups, and today was the first chance to come and try it out. I'm going to go for the hole-in-one. Everyone who was down here today had a very good time, and most people were doing even better than I just did. Very proud of that hole-in-one. You can catch up with how the day went right now.
A year ago yesterday, Dave Lawrence celebrating his lottery jackpot. Having spent his life working with disabled people, his priority was to buy a house with a garden big enough to put to community use. Today, Dave opened his garden crazy golf course.
I'm just thrilled. This place, this house, what I'm able to do. Not everyone's got a garden, you know. There's a lot of people without a garden at all, and to share it is wonderful.
There's 3 holes, each dedicated to a cause close to Dave's heart. The nature hole. The bocce hole celebrating the Paralympic sport. And the pudsey hole, which Sarah was a dab hand at.
I like crazy golf because I like playing. It's a good game and it's fun and it's healthy because it's more exercise for me. It's getting me out from the house.
It was great fun. I got all the in the hole. I loved the day. Thank you.
So we're all going to have a go.
Dave's told local charities those in need will always be able to use the golf course.
What's really nice is we can come back again and we'll be able to have more events here and we'll be able to get more involved, and so the more that we come, the more the guys will get more skills, so they'll be more independent and they'll feel more confident.
So you've got to move it out from the fence, that's it, take it from there.
So how did Dave feel to see his dream become a reality?
Simply fantastic. I try not to get too emotional. Absolutely much better than I'd even imagined. It's been a couple of weeks of busy times, but it's superb. Chris, it's absolutely fantastic.
In this Leatherhead garden, there's a whole lot to feel good about.
Yes!
Chris Slegg, BBC London.
Oh, what a guy. Now, just before we go, a 500-year-old knitted hat has been found by a mudlarker on the Thames. You never know what you're going to find on the banks of the river. Experts say it survived because of the mud in the river, and it's due to go on display next year at the London Museum in Docklands, and will sit alongside other items, including a medieval gold ring and clay pipes. And with that, it's time for a look at the weather with Kate, who is there. And is this September sunshine going to last all week?
Well, yes, it is, Frizz. We've had another day of warm sunshine today. Despite it being nearly autumn, the temperatures are more akin to what you might find in July, just shy of 22 Celsius today in St James's Park. But those signs of autumn are still there. You can see here the leaves are turning a different colour and there's leaves on the ground. However, this sunshine is set to continue. Now, a couple of things to watch out for tonight, quite exciting things. It's a full moon, nothing unusual there. It's the harvest moon in September, but it is in fact a supermoon, so it's going to be big and bright, the closest orbit to the Earth. There's also a partial lunar eclipse. Now, the increasing chance of cloud, however, might scupper our chances of seeing that, but we have got a few clear spells. Now, if we look at what the weather is doing as we head into this evening, we've still got this northeasterly flow. We've had it all day. The cloud is coming in from the North Sea, but you can see we've got these breaks. So clear to start with, so seeing the full moon, not a problem. It's later on, the peak of that partial lunar eclipse is 3:44 tomorrow morning, so you might just get a glimpse or two between the cloud. Minimum temperature, though, it's a milder night tonight, not quite as chilly as last night at 13 Celsius. Now, high pressure still in charge, just starts to drift. It is bringing in this easterly flow for tomorrow as well. Now, the wind is slightly stronger as we head through Wednesday. The cloud in the morning will disappear. It'll break up. We'll get some sunshine. The temperature tomorrow, though, despite that wind, is going to be warmer. We're looking at a maximum tomorrow, potentially 24 Celsius. And then as we head overnight Wednesday into Thursday, again, same rules apply. We've got that cloud coming in from the North Sea. That's going to increase, spreading further west through the night. It's going to be another mild night, a breezy night. The minimum temperature around 12 to 14 Celsius, so really quite mild. Now, as we head into Thursday, we've got high pressure to the north, high pressure to the northeast. It's going to be another warm and sunny day, a little bit of cloud, yes, but plenty of sunshine. And the temperature on Thursday, again, we're looking at 24 Celsius. Now, we could see a little bit of a breakdown as we head into Friday. Low pressure to the south, the air becomes a little more unstable. Could see a shower or two, and temperatures a little cooler. Riz.
Thank you, Kate. That is it. So thank you very much for watching. Check out our website for more stories, including the major London hospital trialling drones to courier blood samples, and why there'll be a full-size replica of a Spanish warship arriving in the capital next week. From me and all the team, whatever you're doing, have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.